Well, the time is just gone 5 p.m. as we head towards the last interview this afternoon, and thereafter we will be handing you over to Maulana Yunus Kawanda to take you through the time of start. So for the next few minutes, we are going to go across to be joined by Khoi San and Dile. We're talking about the Khoi San, we're talking about the first people of South Africa, and again, looking at human rights and what does the human rights actually mean for them, and also in terms of their reaction to the Western Cape selling the state and to American multinational technology company Amazon. We're going now to be joined by Khoi San. Khoi San, good afternoon to you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much. And shukran to
Good
you
afternoon.
and
Can you hear me?
salam alaikum to all of your listeners and to you.
Welcome, salam. Wonderful you're able to join us. I can hear you now loud and clear. And obviously, it's wonderful to be talking to you, to be engaging with you. And we want to talk about a number of issues, the whole question surrounding human rights. Today's Human Rights Day in South Africa, but also looking at some of the other issues that have been playing out. So let's look at it from your perspective and looking at human rights and how do you see this day of human rights and against, or obviously your people, the Khoi San people as well, and how do they actually see human rights in South Africa in general?
Okay, I spent 15 years in exile. I was one of the young people in 1976 who rose up in Cape Town. One of the leaders of the rebellion that happened in Cape Town. And I served in very many positions before I left the country. But while we are at it, the first people whose human rights were abrogated in this country are my ancestors, the San. Okay, and speaking as the chief of the Goronaikwa Cultural Council, our people were the first people whose lands were dispossessed of them. And so human rights abrogation began in South Africa when Jan van Riebeeck landed here and created a colony. But it was enforced after he received an order or a permission from the Heeren 17 in Holland to take lands in the Liesbeek River. What we know now as the Two Rivers Urban Park in Observatory Cape Town. That was the first land grab in this country. So that's where human rights were abrogated. That's where human beings were disrespected. And those freedom fighters who stood up in the war of 1659 to 1660, led by the great warrior Nomoa, Gonel, Doman. Those were Goronaikwas. So the Goronaikwas were lost. We fought 59 to 1660. And we are still not the colony and those who took our people's lands, their dignity, their identity, and everything that came with them, but also those who desecrated all our cultural, social, and political and spiritual systems. We are here to inform them that we are here on this day, 30 years, nearly 30 years after democracy was established, and asking them why and the liberation movement on the altar of trying to get to first place and create the South African democracy. Why were we altered out of the settlement that created the South African compromise, or to put it in classical terms, the compromiso historical that created the modern South African state and democracy?
Yes. Now, we are talking about Human Rights Day, and often, Khoi San, we find that human rights, this day is often misinterpreted. Sometimes it's even misunderstood as to what human rights truly means. And we find in many instances, people demanding rights. But it's such a simple solution. If you, if you make sure that you respect the next person, you respect his rights, you make sure that you fulfill his human rights. You would not give him a reason to demand for his rights, because that is a general principle. And often in South Africa, we find that this is very, very misunderstood, and sometimes even in observing a day like Human Rights Day, what are the key issues? What is the focus? And when we look at, like, for example, you speak about yourself, you speak about your ancestors, you speak about your ancestral land, all of that, that obviously you were dispossessed, that has taken away. And nothing has actually changed, because we see a world, we see a country where this type of behavior and this type of violation of human rights is still ongoing. I mean, it's happened to your people, it's happened to many other people around the world, and also in this country.
Yeah, it happens with indigenous people worldwide. And it's a disease of national liberation movements that they violate indigenous peoples. Forget about the colonizers and the real oppressors. The national liberation movement who mobilized my people. It is my people, Ashley Creel, Anton Franz, and many are Badge of February, Darcy September. They are all Khoi and San descendants who fought in the war for liberation of this country. Forget even about the fact that before there was Shaka, before there was any great Sutu, Tswana, any kind of other warrior in this country, they were the Khoi San warriors. And when they went and signed the deal with the Nationalist Party, the first people they sacrificed were the foundational people of this country. So it's an indictment on Cyril Ramaphosa as the president of this country. In fact, he is the biggest disgrace, because him and Ruth Meyer signed away the rights of the Khoi San to ever claim our rights, okay? Because they created a 1913 cut-off date for divestment of your land. So let's first blame the liberation movement. And I come out of that liberation movement, and my bones are made in there. I was 13 years old when I became a part of the struggle. So they have to claim the first, and that is why national liberation movements worldwide are being destroyed by their own people, because they are a disgrace. Okay? Now, secondly, the colony will always be the colony. Their job is to desecrate foundational peoples. And our people were desecrated. We survived the genocide, we survived land grab, we survived the desecration of our culture, our language, and all our cultural traditions. But we are still here. And irrespective of what this government has done, claiming to be a progressive national liberation government, we have exercised our right of agency, our cultural right of agency, and claimed the liberated space right in the place where our people, from which our people were dispossessed. And I tell you, yesterday,
In fact,
we laid the foundations for the first ever Khoi and San Cultural and Heritage Center in South Africa. And there, we are going to tell the story of not only what the colony did, but the betrayal of the liberation movement. I'm very sad that this interview doesn't take place on the 15th of March, because the 15th of March is the Ides of March, when Julius Caesar was killed by his foremost supporters and associates the liberation movement killed the Khoi and San when they signed the Compromiso Historico that authored the current South Africa.
Khoi San, I hear what you say, and I hear all the passion with which you actually express yourself, and you speak about the very, very bitter experiences, experience of one could even call betrayal, for one of a better term. And just to get where we are at this point in time. Now, we've heard about the Western Cape selling sacred land to American multinational technology company Amazon. And just to understand what is happening right now in the Western Cape.
And they were betrayed by the Arab brothers who are more concerned with the nationalism of their own Arab states than attacking the real enemy of the Palestinian people and promoting Palestinian sovereignty. How is it that in 40 years, Palestine has not been a sovereign state? If there are so many sovereign Arab states around Palestine, let us lay the blame of betrayal where it lands. Let us have a new thinking about who is supposed to pay the cost. First, let us deal with the betrayers in our midst. The only reason liberation movements, the only reason foundational peoples have won, like in Mexico and that, is when they have identified those who have committed betrayal and eliminated them from the planet.
Well, definitely. In fact, what we're going to do is I'm going to go for a quick ad break. I'm going to put you on hold, Khoi San. I will be back in a minute.
Thank you.
Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
Freedom Stationery supply Marlin and Marlin Kids pens to me and my school friends. They supply just about everything we need to help us get a better education, from books to files to rulers. In fact, any any accessory we need. Freedom Stationery. Education for the nation. What does accessory mean?
Join Africa Muslims Agency to make an impact that goes beyond the ordinary this Ramadan. When you donate towards a water well or borehole, your contribution goes beyond just providing water. It creates a ripple effect of opportunity, from ensuring food security to improving health, education, and income opportunities. Every drop you give brings hope and transforms lives. So this Ramadan, join us in giving the charity that goes beyond. Give water with Africa Muslims Agency.
Are you looking for a cross-border road transport company that is committed in achieving high safety standards, who is fast and efficient, and also excel in customer service? Gardi Global specializes in cross-border transport from South Africa to Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Zambia, and Malawi. Gardi Global, situated at 10 Daniel Road, Benrose, Johannesburg. For inquiries, contact our trained staff on 011-614-3108 or email info@gardiglobal.co.za. Safe, long haul into Africa is our business. Gardi Global Transport.
Southern Africa Dawah Network is a non-profit organization striving to uplift the disadvantaged and empowering through education and dawah. Donate to the SADN centers, the M.A. Motala Islamic Center, as well as our Islamic centers in Amoti, Imtalumi, Botshabelo, and Castile. Donate your zakat and lillah today. Contact Farooq Sheikh 076-321-0650, Yusuf Mohammadi 072-259-3457, or the SADN head office 031 304 8000. Our account, Standard Bank, account number 050-856-294 for your zakat, or 050-879-790 for your lillah. Dawah through education, education through dawah, the Southern Africa Dawah Network.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists, with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
You are listening to Salam Media live from our headquarters in South Africa. This is Salam Media, keeping you company this Ramadan.
Well, we continue with broadcast this afternoon, and we are still in conversation with Khoi San, and we are talking about human rights. We're talking about the Khoi San, talking about Human Rights Day from a Khoi San perspective after the viewing, and it is clear that there is a big yield of passion that and emotion that has come through from Khoi San until now. He speaks about the betrayal, and he speaks about what has actually happened to his people in terms of their human rights, in terms of the land that they have owned as well. Khoi San, just to continue, and I want you to now focus on the Western Cape. And we've heard about land being sold off to the likes of Amazon, which is the multinational from the United States of America, and just your thoughts at this point in time in terms of what is taking place in the Western Cape, and particularly looking at what possibly could still remain of what the Khoi and the San had owned in terms of land in this country.
Okay, first of all, let us get very clear. You know, the land that we're talking about, the land on which we have created the first Khoi San Heritage Center, was not sold to a white person. It was sold to Fred Robertson, who's a black, one of the sentinel forces in black empowerment. It was sold by the national government. So let us even forget that the Western Cape government got involved. It was sold by a parastatal called Transnet, okay? And it was sold to Fred Robertson, who then unsold this to the Lisbeth Leisure Property Trust. The national government sold that land, even though the Khoi and San had asked them for 30 years to give us that land. They sold it because this national government is a mercenary government. And until it comes back to what it was when it was founded, when people like Duma Nokwe, when Chris Hani, when real revolutionaries were involved in this movement, it will be a corrupt government. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Now, they sold that to one of their black empowerment partners. That black empowerment partner sold it, unsold it to the Lisbeth Leisure Properties Trust. Okay? We got involved because that government, that so-called liberation and revolutionary government had at all times, can you imagine the disgrace that this government is internationally? For 30 years they've been in power. They've never recognized one Khoi leader. They've never recognized the Khoi and San language, and they've never recognized our people or our communities and never given back our land. They are a disgrace, and they should be removed from power because of that, because they have a deep insensitivity to the foundational people. Before there was Shaka Zulu, before there was any Sotho person rising up in this country, or any Sangan person rising up, the Khoi San rose up in 1510 years. We, as the Khoi San people, went into their liberation movement. We fought their wars. Many of us died in captivity. Many of us were savagely beaten, terrorized. And 30 years later, they have not recognized one. They've recognized all the people who were recognized by apartheid. They recognized people in KwaZulu-Natal who were enablers of the killers of our comrades. Now we, as the Khoi San, decided we have had enough of having our narrative trivialized, of having our voice bludgeoned. We went and engaged directly with the developer, and we got a liberated zone for our people. And let us people not talk about sacred land. Let me tell you something, when people talk about sacred, the only voice in the world that can talk about sacred is the Almighty that presides over all of us and all of the nations of the world. This land in which we live, it is our providence that we are gifted to serve over as custodians and stewards by the Almighty. There's the Lisbik River. It's not sacred. What about the waterfront? That's where Jan van Riebeeck landed with his ships. Why is that not sacred land? Why is all the other places in the Western Cape where there's these big shopping centers, why is that not sacred land? But the Khoi and the San are tired of standing at the touchline witnessing a game that they should be playing. We want to do things for ourselves, and we have fought for ourselves a liberated territory. Anybody who wants to come for us, they should be ready, because we are seriously battle-hardened.
Well, it certainly sounds like that also. And just finally, where to from here for you? And I know elections are also coming up as well. And what would your position be looking at where we are? And you've had a government which you say that obviously that have portrayed the Khoi and the San as well, and looking at your struggles and looking at your place within South Africa, in South African society. How do you see things, panning out for you, for your people, going into the future?
You know, the Zapatistas took the province of Chiapas from Mexico City after they, from the Republic of Mexico, after they marched down into Mexico City in 1991. They never gave it back. This government should be very cautious of disrespecting the Khoi and San people, because maybe the Khoi and San people should think about their own governance and think about creating their own systems and think about creating mechanisms in which we will bring back respect, dignity, and all those other things that have been destroyed in 30 years of so-called democracy. We have to bring back a new spirituality, a sense of reverence for the Almighty. We have to bring back a sense of respect for one another. And we certainly have to ensure that we don't have a government that has a sliding scale when it comes to integrity. We need new governance. Full stop.
Well, Khoi San, thank you very much for that. And we do appreciate you taking time out this afternoon, being with us right here on Salam Media, on our broadcast, as we are about to head towards breaking our fast in about 45, 50 minutes from now. But for now, we thank you. We do appreciate you taking time out again, and all the best to you, sir.
And shukran and salam alaikum to everybody else, okay? Thanks, man.
Alaikum salam. Khoi San Zile with us this afternoon right here on Salam Media. And once again, we can just hear the passion. And we are talking about Human Rights Day in South Africa. We speak about the observation of human rights. And the key question here is, how much do you take Human Rights Day, to be so serious, or do we just limit the respect and the honor that we give to people in terms of honoring their rights? Do we only limit that to one day, which is the day like today, the 21st of March, or should we not? Should we not be doing this on a day-to-day basis? Because this is exactly what we find right across the entire world. People are demanding their rights at every minute, at every given opportunity, whether it's on a family level, whether it's on a societal level, whether it's on a country level. People continue demanding what is rightfully theirs. And how different would this world be if you would just honor somebody by making sure that you respect them, you respect their rights, you give them their rights, you don't take away their rights in any way whatsoever. And we find this, and there's big lessons for us, especially as Muslims as well, because often we'll hear about even orphans. We talk about inheritance in Islam. We speak about honoring people, about giving them their rights of inheritance. We find that in many instances, people withhold, people usurp the rights of others, usurp the rights of orphans. All of this, one needs to think about very, very carefully, because these are very, very serious matters, and these are things that we shouldn't be taking lightly. And I'm going to leave you with that thought, because next up we're going to be joined by Maulana Yunus Kawanga, who will be taking you through to the time of iftar in Johannesburg at around 20 minutes past 6. But for now, I'm going to be signing off. So from myself and the team, that for this particular section of the iftar drive, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.